Hello students, come on, we'll continue the topic joint venture. So we have discussed the meaning of the term joint venture, what are the features of joint venture, what are the differences between partnership and joint venture, consignment and joint venture we have discussed. So from accounting point of view, there are two methods of maintaining the accounts of joint venture. The first method when separate set of books are maintained. Second method when separate set of books are not maintained. So in the previous we have already discussed what are the journal entries to be passed when separate set of books are maintained. Normally this separate set of books will be maintained when the joint venture is a huge one. When the venture undertaken is a large and all the co-venturers are staying at one place, then separate set of books are maintained. That method will be more suitable. In that separate set of books maintained, we have opened three accounts: joint bank account, joint venture account and the co-venturers accounts, personal accounts. And we have seen what are the entries to be passed when separate set of books are maintained. Now we are coming to the next topic when no separate set of books are maintained. No separate set of books are maintained, but accounts are maintained by co-venturers themselves. This will happen when the venture is not large, the venture is small, and the parties may not stay at one place. The co-venturers may not stay at one place. So in this case, what are the different issues now we'll discuss? When separate set of books are not maintained. So in this case, when record is maintained by one of the parties' books, when each co-venturer records transaction affecting joint venture. Then, see, when no separate set of books are maintained, there are two methods of maintaining the accounts. The first method, when record is maintained by one of the parties' books. Again, if there are two parties, A and B are the co-venturers, and they have agreed that all the accounts will be maintained by A only. B will simply contribute the amount, contribute the capital, but he will not maintain any accounts. All the accounts are maintained by A only. This is one method. Second method, each co-venturer will maintain their own accounts affecting the joint venture. This is the second case. So first we'll discuss what are the issues in the first case. When record is maintained in one of the parties' books, अगर पूरे अकाउंट्स एक ही पार्टी के बुक्स में मेंटेन हो रहे हैं, दूसरी पार्टी कोई बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट मेंटेन नहीं कर रही है, तो व्हाट आर द इश्यूज? देन ही विल ओपन टू अकाउंट्स, वन जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट and another personal account of the other co-venturer. If all the books of accounts are maintained only by one co-venturer, in that case he will open two accounts. The first account, joint venture account, and the other account is personal account of other co-venturer. Simple example I'll give you. Suppose there are two co-venturers A and B. Between A and B there is an agreement that all accounts are maintained by A only. B will simply contribute the amount. This will happen when both the parties may not be at the same place and the joint venture, the venture size of the venture is not large. अगर एक छोटा सा वेंचर है, बड़ा वेंचर नहीं है, जहां पर दोनों पार्टीज एक जगह नहीं है, तो दिस मेथड विल बी मोर suitable. A will maintain all the accounts, B will not maintain any accounts. In that case, what are the journal entries to be passed? We have taken an example. Supposing A and B are co-venturers and records are maintained only by A, then the journal entries will be as follows. पूरे accounts A maintain कर रहा, B कुछ भी maintain नहीं कर रहा, तो उसमें entries क्या पास होंगे? First one, for receipt of cash from B. For receipt of cash from B, suppose I am A and B is another person, my friend B. Both of us are co-venturers. Now B has contributed, paid the cash to A. So A is receiving the cash. He will debit cash. I am A. So I am receiving the cash. So I will pass the entry cash account data to B's account. Cash account data to B's account. I am A. I am receiving the cash from B. So cash comes in, cash is debited. Who is the giver? B is the giver. Being the cash received on account of joint venture from B. Second, for purchase of goods. A has purchased the goods. A has purchased the goods. Entry will be joint venture account data to cash. I am paying from cash. There is no separate joint bank account. There is no separate joint bank account. I am paying the cash. So entry will be joint venture account data to cash. So first entry, cash is received from B. तो कैश अकाउंट डेटा टू बीज अकाउंट. Second, paid for purchases, purchase of goods. The joint venture account data to cash, being the goods purchased for joint venture. For supply of goods by A, कभी क्या होता, कुछ गुड्स ए अपने स्टॉक में से सप्लाई कर रहा, परचेज नहीं कर रहा, जॉइंट वेंचर में गुड्स सप्लाई कर रहा. हु इज सप्लाइंग द गुड्स? ए. तो एंट्री विल बी जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट डेटा टू परचेजेस अकाउंट. जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट डेटा टू परचेजेस अकाउंट. दिस इज द एंट्री आई विल पास. ए will pass. For supply of goods by B, sometimes some goods will be supplied by B also. So entry will be joint venture account data to B's account. Joint venture account data to B's account, being the goods supplied by B. For expenses incurred by A, अब ये joint venture के ऊपर कुछ expenses pay कर दिए, तो entry will be joint venture account data to cash because it is paid by A. पूरे accounts A maintain कर रहा, A के पास cash है, तो जब जॉइंट वेंचर के लिए पे करेंगे तो जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट डेटा टू कैश, बीइंग द एक्सपेंसेस पेड. फॉर एक्सपेंसेस पेड बाय बी, समटाइम्स सम एक्सपेंसेस आर पेड बाय बी पर्सनली. इन दैट केस जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट डेटा टू बीज अकाउंट. जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट डेटा टू बीज अकाउंट. फॉर सेल ऑफ गुड्स बाय ए, अब ए माई सेल्फ आई एम सेलिंग द गुड्स. व्हेन आई सेल द गुड्स आई विल रिसीव द कैश, तो आई विल डेबिट कैश, क्रेडिट जॉइंट वेंचर. तो कैश अकाउंट डेटा टू जॉइंट वेंचर फॉर द सेल ऑफ गुड्स बाय ए. देन अनसोल्ड स्टॉक टेकन ओवर बाय ए. कुछ गुड्स अनसोल्ड है, नहीं बिका, बेचे नहीं, रखा हुआ है, एंड दैट अनसोल्ड स्टॉक विल बी टेकन ओवर बाय ए. अगर बेच देते तो कैश अकाउंट डेटा टू जॉइंट वेंचर आता था. अब कैश अकाउंट नहीं है, परचेजेस अकाउंट डेटा टू जॉइंट वेंचर, बिकॉज ए इज टेकिंग ओवर. ए इज taking over the goods, तो purchases account data to joint venture. For commission due to A, अब according to agreement between A and B, it is needed that commission should be paid to A. It is specified in the agreement that commission should be paid to A. So entry will be joint venture account data to commission account. ये commission किसके लिए gain है? A के लिए. A को commission मिल रहा, तो commission account will be created. Joint venture will be debited. Joint venture account data to commission account. Similarly for interest payable to B, अगर agreement में A और B के agreement में लिखा हुआ है कि interest is to be paid to B, तो entry will be joint venture account data to B's account. Joint venture account data to B's account, being the interest payable to B. For profit on joint venture, after completing all the transactions, then ultimately we will find out the profit or loss on the joint venture. तो joint venture के अकाउंट में देखेंगे डेबिट साइड ज्यादा है या क्रेडिट साइड. इफ क्रेडिट साइड इज मोर देयर इज अ प्रॉफिट, इफ डेबिट साइड इज मोर देयर इज अ लॉस. सपोज इफ द क्रेडिट साइड इज मोर देयर इज अ प्रॉफिट, देयर इज अ प्रॉफिट. तो हाउ टू ट्रांसफर द प्रॉफिट? द एंट्री विल बी joint venture account data to profit and loss account to B's account. Profit and loss account will be created for the share of profit of A. अब मैं A हूं, मेरे को जो प्रॉफिट मिल रहा है वो P&L अकाउंट में क्रिएट करूंगा. See here, there is no A's account here I have prepared because all the records are maintained by A himself. So A's account he will not open. मैं अपने आप का अकाउंट ओपन नहीं करता हूं. तो मेरे को जो प्रॉफिट आने का है, that profit I will transfer it to profit and loss account. और जो शेयर ऑफ प्रॉफिट बी को देना है वो बी के अकाउंट को क्रिएट कर देंगे. तो एंट्री विल बी जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट डेटा टू प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट टू बीज अकाउंट. लास्ट वन फॉर फाइनल पेमेंट मेड टू बी. फाइनली जो भी अमाउंट बी को पे कर देना है वो एंट्री हो जाएंगे बीज अकाउंट डेटा टू कैश. बीज अकाउंट डेटा टू कैश. बाय पासिंग दिस एंट्री, बीज अकाउंट विल गेट क्लोज्ड इन द बुक्स ऑफ ए. ऑल दीज एंट्रीज आर इन द बुक्स ऑफ ए. तो ए के बुक्स में बी का अकाउंट क्लोज हो गया. और यहां पर जब प्रॉफिट ऑन जॉइंट वेंचर एंट्री पास करें तो जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट इज क्लोज्ड. सो इन दिस 11th एंट्री जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट क्लोज्ड, 12th एंट्री बीज अकाउंट क्लोज्ड. सो ऑल द अकाउंट्स आर क्लोज्ड. These are the journal entries to be passed when accounts are maintained only by one of the co-venturer. The other co-venturer is not maintaining the accounts. In that case, these are the entries. You have to remember. So viewers, you have to go through, you have to watch the video again and again 2-3 times, these entries. Then you will become perfect on the journal entries. Easily we can solve the problem. No difficulty in understanding the problems if you watch this. So we have completed the first part, when record is maintained in one of the parties' books. Now we'll come to the second, when each co-venturer records transaction affecting joint venture. अगर दो co-venturers है, दोनों co-venturers अपने अपने पास joint venture के account maintain कर रहे हैं. A is maintaining joint venture accounts and B also maintaining joint venture account. In that case, what would be the case? Now we are going to study the entries. When each co-venturer records transaction affecting joint venture, दोनों जॉइंट को-वेंचरर्स अपने अपने बुक्स में जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट्स मेंटेन कर रहे हैं, तो क्या एंट्रीज होंगे? अंडर दिस मेथड ईच को-वेंचरर ओपन्स जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट एंड पर्सनल अकाउंट ऑफ द अदर को-वेंचरर. इन दिस सिचुएशन, every co-venturer will open one account joint venture account, the other account other co-venturer's account. Example, in the books of A के बुक्स में दो अकाउंट ओपन करेंगे, एक जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट, एक B's अकाउंट. और B के बुक्स में दो अकाउंट्स मेंटेन होंगे, एक जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट, एक A's अकाउंट. तो B क्या कर रहा, दो अकाउंट मेंटेन कर रहा, जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट और A अकाउंट. A दो अकाउंट मेंटेन कर रहा, जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट, B's अकाउंट. राइट? सो दीज आर द accounts to be maintained. Suppose, to make you understand better, I'll take another example. Suppose two parties A and B, both are co-venturers. What are the different entries which are passed in the books of A and in the books of B? Now we will take the example. Suppose A and B, books of A, books of B. Transaction for expenses paid by A. Expenses paid by A. So what is the entry in the books of A and what is the entry in the books of B? Separately. Now we'll see. In the books of A, when expenses are paid, joint venture account data to cash. Cash is going out. In whose books? A's books. A pay कर रहा, क्या पे कर रहा? कैश पे कर रहा. काय के लिए पे कर रहा? जॉइंट वेंचर एक्सपेंसेस पे कर रहा. तो एंट्री विल बी जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट डेटा टू कैश. सेम ट्रांजैक्शन के लिए व्हाट वुड बी द एंट्री इन द बुक्स ऑफ बी? बी क्या करेगा? जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट डेटा टू एज अकाउंट. जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट डेटा टू एज अकाउंट. ही इज नॉट पेइंग. बी पे नहीं कर रहा, ए पे कर रहा. जो पे कर रहा उन्हें कैश को क्रेडिट करेगा, जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट डेटा टू कैश. सेम ट्रांजैक्शन के लिए बी क्या एंट्री पास करेगा? जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट डेटा टू एज अकाउंट. दोनों के बुक्स में जॉइंट वेंचर को डेबिट करें बिकॉज इट इज एन एक्सपेंस ऑफ जॉइंट वेंचर. बिकॉज इट्स एन एक्सपेंस ऑफ जॉइंट वेंचर, सो जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट शुड बी डेबिटेड बाय बोथ. अब जो पे कर रहा उन्हें कैश को क्रेडिट कर रहा और जो नहीं पे कर रहा उन्हें अदर पार्टी को क्रेडिट कर रहा. तो बी के बुक्स में अदर पार्टी कौन सी है? ए. तो 2A. Second, for expenses paid by B, similarly joint expenses are paid by B. Now what would be the entry in the books of A and B? Books of A, joint venture account data to B's account. अब जो expenses है A नहीं पे कर रहा, कौन पे कर रहा? B पे कर रहा. तो joint venture account data to B's account. और B के बुक्स में joint venture account data to cash because cash is paid by B. जो पे कर रहा उन्हें कैश को क्रेडिट करना. बी पे कर रहा, बी क्रेडिट करेगा कैश को. राइट? फॉर बिल ड्रॉन बाय ए और बी, ए ऑन बी, समटाइम्स व्हाट विल हैपन, वन ऑफ द को-वेंचरर विल ड्रॉ अ बिल ऑफ एक्सचेंज ऑन अदर को-वेंचरर. तो एग्जांपल, सपोज ए ड्रॉज ए बिल ऑन बी, तो एंट्री विल बी बिल्स रिसीवेबल अकाउंट डेटा टू बीज अकाउंट इन द बुक्स ऑफ ए. ए के बुक्स में बिल्स रिसीवेबल अकाउंट डेटा टू बीज अकाउंट, being the acceptance of B received. और इसके बुक्स में, B के बुक्स में A's account data to bills payable. जिसको बिल आ रही है, ड्रॉयर जो होता उसके पास बिल्स रिसीवेबल और जो ड्रॉई रहता उसको बिल्स पेएबल. तो A के बुक्स में बिल्स रिसीवेबल, B के बुक्स में बिल्स पेएबल. बिल्स रिसीवेबल account data to B's account in the books of A, or in the books of B, A's account data to bills payable, being the bill drawn and accepted by B. Now for getting the bill discounted, अभी जो bills of exchange जो draw करे B के ऊपर, B का acceptance आ गया, that bill is discounted with a bank. Who is discounting? The drawer. Drawer is A. Drawer is A. तो इन्हें बैंक से डिस्काउंट करवा लिया. Entry will be bank account data और discount account data to bills received. Example, 10,000 का बिल है, बैंक से डिस्काउंट करवा लिया 9,500. तो बैंकर हैज गिवन अस 9,500, तो बैंक में डेबिट करेंगे 9,500, डिस्काउंट को डेबिट करेंगे 500 टू बिल्स रिसीवेबल 10,000 being the bills discounted by A. No entry in the books of B. एक बार B अगर acceptance दे दिया तो he is not bothered whether drawer is keeping the bill or drawer is discounting the bill with the bank. He is not concerned, so no entry. Now for charging the discount, अभी जो discount को debit करे थे, this discount account should be charged to joint venture. क्योंकि ये बिल ड्रॉ और एक्सेप्टेंस जो हुआ है जॉइंट वेंचर के लिए ही हुआ है. सो वॉट एवर द डिस्काउंटिंग चार्जेस हैव बीन डेबिटेड, दैट डिस्काउंट विल बी क्रेडिटेड एंड जॉइंट वेंचर विल बी डेबिटेड. तो एंट्री विल बी जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट डेटा टू डिस्काउंट अकाउंट, बीइंग द डिस्काउंट चार्ज्ड टू जॉइंट वेंचर. एंड इन द बुक्स ऑफ बी, जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट डेटा टू एज अकाउंट. Joint venture account data to A's account. Next, for cash is received by A. Goods are sold. अब goods बेच दिए, cash आ गया, तो entry will be cash account data to joint venture in the books of A. अब B के books में cash नहीं आ रहा, तो entry will be A's account data to joint venture. A's account data to joint venture because A has sold the goods and received the cash. जो receive करा cash, इसके books में cash account data to joint venture. और B के बुक्स में A's account data to joint venture. Similarly, when cash is received by B, suppose goods are sold by B, then in that case, in the books of A, B's account data to joint venture, उल्टा entry, B's account data to joint venture. और B के बुक्स में cash account data to joint venture, cash account data to joint venture. He has sold the goods and received the cash. जो cash receive करा उन्हें cash को debit करेंगे. अब जब सेल हुए तो जॉइंट वेंचर को क्रेडिट करेंगे. नेक्स्ट, फॉर कमीशन रिसीवेबल बाय बी, अब कमीशन देना है बी को, तो जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट डेटा टू बीज अकाउंट, जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट डेटा टू बीज अकाउंट इन द बुक्स ऑफ ए, एंड इन द बुक्स ऑफ बी, जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट डेटा टू कमीशन अकाउंट. कमीशन इज रिसीव्ड, सो कमीशन अकाउंट इज क्रेडिट. नाउ फॉर इंटरेस्ट रिसीवेबल बाय ए को इंटरेस्ट आने का है, तो जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट डेटा टू इंटरेस्ट. इंटरेस्ट कमीशन इनकम से, तो इंटरेस्ट अकाउंट एंड कमीशन अकाउंट शुड बी क्रेडिटेड. जिसको मिल रहा उन्हें क्रेडिट करना. इंटरेस्ट मिल रहा ए को तो ए क्रेडिट करेगा, कमीशन मिल रहा बी को तो कमीशन को क्रेडिट करेगा बी. तो जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट डेटा टू इंटरेस्ट अकाउंट इन द बुक्स ऑफ ए एंड जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट डेटा टू एज अकाउंट इन द बुक्स ऑफ बी. उन्हें इंटरेस्ट नहीं दिखेगा बिकॉज इज नॉट गेटिंग इंटरेस्ट. नाउ इफ अनसोल्ड स्टॉक इज टेकन ओवर बाय बी, अब कुछ माल बचा हुआ है, अनसोल्ड गुड्स है, these unsold goods are taken over by B. So in the books of A, B's account data to joint venture, B's account data to joint venture. Or in the books of B, purchases account data to joint venture because unsold stock is taken over by B. B खरीद लिया, खरीद लेने का मतलब परचेस कर लिया, तो purchase account data to joint venture in the books of B. So these are the entries in the books of A and B separately. अगर बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स दोनों पार्टीज अपने अपने बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स में मेंटेन कर रहे हैं जॉइंट वेंचर, सो इन दिस केस टू अकाउंट्स विल बी ओपनड. ए जो है वन जॉइंट वेंचर एंड बीज अकाउंट, और बी जो है वन जॉइंट वेंचर एज अकाउंट. दैट्स ऑल. तो दीज आर द एंट्रीज टू बी पास्ड. सम मोर टू मोर एंट्रीज आर देयर टू बी पास्ड इन द बुक्स ऑफ ए एंड बी. So in the previous video we have discussed what are the entries to be passed when accounts are maintained separately by all the co-venturers. Separate set of books are maintained. That means books of accounts are maintained by all the co-venturers. A co-venturer is maintaining the accounts and B co-venturer also maintains the accounts for the joint venture. In that case, what are the general entries we have seen just now? So many entries. When purchases are made, what is the entry in the books of A and what is the entry in the books of B? When purchases are made by B, what is the entry in the books of A and B? We have seen. Now last two more entries are there in that method for transfer of profit. After completing that, we will find out what is the profit. तो profit की entry होती है joint venture account data to profit and loss account. This is the entry that will be passed by A. In the books of B, same entry joint venture account data to profit and loss account. Last one for amount paid by B in final settlement. The final settlement between the co-venturers is one co-venturer will pay some amount to the other co-venturer. Here suppose example B pays the amount to A. So A is getting the cash. So entry will be cash account data to B's account. B is paying the cash to A, तो A's account data to cash. These are the entries when separate when books are maintained, joint venture accounts are maintained by all the co-venturers in their books. एक एक co-venturer अपने books में अगर maintain करा accounts, तो फिर ये entries होंगे just now we have seen. Now last and final method, one more method is there called memorandum joint venture account. Memorandum joint venture account. This is the last method of maintaining the joint venture accounts. This method is an alternative of the previous method. Previous method is that method where every co-venturer will maintain the accounts. Every co-venturer will maintain the accounts of joint venture. So this is exactly similar. The memorandum joint venture method is exactly alternative method of the previous method. And in this method, profit or loss is ascertained by preparing an account called memorandum joint venture account. अब ये method में क्या करेंगे? Every party, every co-venturer will open an account. That account is called memorandum joint venture account. This account does not form part of double entry system. In double entry system, we will post from one account to another account. Every transaction will affect two accounts. That means posting will be done from one account to another account. But in this memorandum joint venture account, no posting will be done. So that's why it is in a true sense, this is not an account itself. A summary of transactions. This memorandum joint venture account is only a summary of transaction, not an account in true sense. So this account does not form part of double entry system as postings are not made from this account to other account. To enable the preparation of memorandum joint venture account, each party sent to the other party a copy of transactions affected by it. ये memorandum joint venture account बनाने के लिए the transactions affected by each party must be sent to the other party. That means all the transactions conducted by B must be sent it to A, and all the transactions conducted by A must be sent it to B. On the basis of all the transactions, memorandum joint venture account will be opened. Example A and B. तो A भी memorandum joint venture account बनाएगा, B भी memorandum joint venture account बनाएगा. क्यों बना रहे हैं? The purpose of making memorandum joint venture account to find out the profit or loss on joint venture. So they will record all the incomes on credit side, all expenses on debit side. They will find out the difference, and that difference is the profit which is distributed between the co-venturers. So here, to enable the preparation of memorandum joint venture account, each party sends to the other party a copy of the transaction affected by him. The expenses are shown on debit and incomes are shown on the credit side, and the profit or loss distributed among the co-venturers. तो A मेमोरेंडम जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट बनाएगा, B भी मेमोरेंडम जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट बनाएगा, दोनों का प्रॉफिट आ जाएगा. तो ये प्रॉफिट को शेयर कर लेंगे बिटवीन द को-वेंचरर्स. तो ईच को-वेंचरर ओपन्स एन अकाउंट इन हिज बुक्स. अब एक एक को-वेंचरर अपने बुक्स में एक अकाउंट ओपन करता. दैट अकाउंट विल बी नोन एज जॉइंट वेंचर. जॉइंट वेंचर विथ द नेम ऑफ द को-वेंचर. जॉइंट वेंचर विथ the name of the co-venturer account. Example A. A co-venturer है. A co-venturer के books में जो account open होगा, वो account का नाम रहेगा joint venture with B account. Joint venture with B account. और B के books में जो account open करेगा, joint venture with A account. This is the only one account which is maintained by each of the co-venturer. Right? Now, this is not a nominal account. अभी जो account बना है joint venture with A account and joint venture with B account. A क्या कर रहा है? Joint venture with B account बना रहा है. B क्या कर रहा है? Joint venture with A account बना रहा है. Now what are the journal entries? This is not a nominal account. The joint venture account normally is a nominal account, but here joint venture with the name of the co-venture. So it is not a nominal account. It's a personal account. Each party records only those transactions which are affected by it. No account is taken for transaction affected by the other party. अब ये जो account बनाएंगे joint venture with co-venturer account, joint venture with B account. Suppose I am A, I will open the account joint venture with B account. तो ये account personal account है, real account, nominal account नहीं है ये personal account है. अब ये अकाउंट बनाते वक्त ओनली दोस ट्रांजैक्शंस व्हिच आर अफेक्टेड बाय द को-वेंचरर हिमसेल्फ, दैट ओनली विल बी रिकॉर्डेड. ए जब ये अकाउंट बना रहा है तो ओनली एस ट्रांजैक्शंस विल बी रिकॉर्डेड the B's transaction will not be recorded. B जो ट्रांजैक्शन कंडक्ट कर रहा है वो A रिकॉर्ड नहीं करता और A जो कर रहा है वो B नहीं करता. तो only the transaction affected by the concerned co-venturer that will be recorded in this account. So the transaction affected by the other party. If A and B entered into a joint venture, then the entries in the books of A will be. अब ये memorandum joint venture account में entries क्या pass करेंगे? Suppose there are two co-venturers A and B. So what are the entries in the books of A? First entry for goods supplied by A. जब goods supplied by A रहेगा तो A के books में क्या entry pass करेंगे? Entry will be joint venture with B account data to purchases account. Joint venture with B account data to purchase account. Next, for amount spent by A. A जब expenditure incur किया तो joint venture with B account data to cash. Joint venture with B account data to cash, being the expenses paid by A. Then for bill drawn by A on B. अगर bill of exchange draw करा, A has drawn a bill on B and B has accepted that bill and written it back to A. So entry will be bills receivable account data to joint venture with B. Bills receivable account data to joint venture with B. Now for charging the discount. अब ये जो discount है ये डिस्काउंटिंग चार्जेस क्रेडिट कर देंगे और डेबिट करेंगे जॉइंट वेंचर विद बी. तो जॉइंट वेंचर विद बी अकाउंट डेटा टू डिस्काउंटिंग चार्जेस, बीइंग द डिस्काउंटिंग चार्जेस चार्ज्ड टू जॉइंट वेंचर. नेक्स्ट एंट्री फॉर सेल्स मेड. फॉर सेल्स मेड on or amount received by A. A has sold the goods and the cash is received. Entry will be cash account data to joint venture with B. Cash account data to joint venture with B. For commission due to A. अब A को commission आना है तो commission is an income, तो commission will be credited. तो entry will be joint venture with B account data to commission. For share of profit. अब share of profit जो मिल रहा है joint venture with B account data to profit and loss account. That's all. So these are the journal entries that will be passed in the books of A if memorandum joint venture account is maintained. Only those transactions which are affected by A, that only will be recorded. The transactions which are affected by B will not be recorded by A. Right? So similarly, B will also open an account in his books. जैसा A अपने बुक्स में जैसा अकाउंट ओपन करा, B भी अपने बुक्स में अकाउंट ओपन करेगा. वहां अकाउंट लिखेगा जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट विथ A. जॉइंट वेंचर विथ A अकाउंट. B के बुक्स में क्या आएगा? जॉइंट वेंचर विथ A अकाउंट. तो सिमिलर टाइप ऑफ ट्रांजैक्शन विल बी पास्ड बाय B also. So this is the complete theoretical part of this chapter called joint venture account. So in this video, what we have discussed, first of all, the meaning of the term joint venture, features of joint venture, differences between joint venture and partnership, differences between joint venture and consignment, then accounting treatment. The accounting treatment for joint venture, first method, when separate set of books are maintained. When separate set of books are maintained completely, normally when this method will be applied if all the co-venturers are staying at one place and all the co-venturers are staying at one place and the venture is quite large. अगर ये venture बहुत बड़ा है तो उसके लिए एक ही जगह पे co-venturers है तो they will make a separate set of books. In that separate set of books, joint bank account, joint venture account and personal account of co-venturers will be opened. And we have seen what are the entries to be passed when separate set of books are maintained. Second method, when separate set of books are not maintained. Separate set of books are not maintained. In this case, there are two methods. The first method, when all the joint venture transactions are maintained by only one party. No account is maintained by the other party. A और B है, तो पूरे ट्रांजैक्शन सिर्फ A ही मेंटेन कर रहा, पूरे रिकॉर्डिंग खाली A कर रहा, B कुछ भी नहीं कर रहा. Then what are the journal entries we have seen? Next, one more case where the accounts, joint venture accounts are maintained by all the parties themselves separately. A के बुक्स में जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट बना मेंटेन कर रहे जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट्स और B अपने बुक्स में जॉइंट वेंचर अकाउंट्स मेंटेन कर रहा. तो इसके ट्रांजैक्शंस क्या हो गए? We have seen. The last method is memorandum joint venture account. तो ये memorandum joint venture account में memorandum joint venture account will be open to find out the profit or loss. So this is not a double entry. This joint venture account is not an account itself. It's only a summary of transaction, just to find out how much is the profit or loss. We'll take all incomes on credit side, all expenses on left hand side. Right hand side will take all incomes, left hand side will take all expenses. We'll find out the profit, divide the profit between the two parties. Then he will record only those transactions which are affected by him only, not the transaction affected by other one. We have seen the entries. So this is the completely theoretical part. So if you watch this theory video once or twice, then only you can get the command on the journal entries, you can understand the lecture. Otherwise, if you directly watch the problems, definitely it will be of no use. According to my experience, I'm saying theory is the foundation of any topic. So please, my suggestion, go through the first video. This is the first video on introduction, theoretical part of joint venture. Have some 2-3 times watching, then you go to problems. You can be able to understand easily. So if you like my lecture, please share my video and subscribe my channel. Inshallah, we'll meet in the next video on problems of joint venture.